Hello, Mosem. Welcome to my show.
Thank you for having me.
You were held in Guantanamo Bay detention camp for 2 years. The prison is notorious for its use of torture on detainees. How was life there? What was the most severe torture you experienced?
So I was held by the US actually for 3 years in total, 1 year in Bagram and 2 years in Guantanamo. And some of the worst torture that I experienced was actually witnessing the death of 2 prisoners. So one prisoner, his hands were tied above his head to the top of the cage, and he was suspended like this and beaten repeatedly until he was killed. The other thing that I witnessed myself, I was subjected to the sounds of a woman screaming in the next cell that I was led to believe is my wife being tortured while I was tied up and interrogated by the CIA and the FBI, and they waved pictures of my children in front of my face and threatened to send me to other countries to be tortured. In Guantanamo, I was there for 2 years in total solitary confinement with no access to other human beings. And what this did to my mental state, of course, on some occasions I lost control and repeatedly asked my American captors, what did I do to you? How did I hurt you? How did I harm America, that America has to do this to me? And of course, there was never an answer. It was very difficult to communicate with the family. So you are not allowed any phone calls. You're not allowed any visits. You're not allowed any meaningful communication with your family. Even letters that came back and forth between me and my family were heavily redacted. So there were letters from my 6-year-old daughter that were completely blacked out by the Americans.
Military action by the US in Iraq and Afghanistan is over. Why is the Guantanamo Bay detention camp still open? Do you think it will ever be closed?
It's a very, very good question, and it's a question we keep putting to the United States, that indeed, then why indeed is Guantanamo still open? And the question is because, one answer, torture. The United States tortured so many people and tried to use that evidence from torture to prosecute some of them. Only a handful of those 39, about 10 of them have been charged. And they can't use torture evidence in the US courts to prosecute these men. They will be freed, and these men include those accused of being involved and orchestrating the 9/11 attacks. So if this Guantanamo isn't kept open, these people will either have to be released or taken to the US, where it will be shown that they were tortured, and then they will have to be released because you can't use torture evidence in a US court. So unfortunately, the United States has dug itself into a ditch from which it cannot extract itself, and that ditch is named torture.
Is a Republican or Democrat-led US government more likely to push for the closure of the Guantanamo Bay? Why?
It's hoped that Joe Biden would follow through on what his previous leader, Obama, asked and promised to do, and that was to close Guantanamo, and he was vice president at the time, and we'd hoped that he would follow through. But the truth of the matter is that Guantanamo has been a bipartisan project of the United States of America. So it's been both Republican and Democrat. It's been East Coast and West Coast. It's been black and white. And unfortunately, none of the presidents of the United States of America have been able to do what every president, including George Bush, has said, and that is, I would like to close Guantanamo. Well, the truth is that the US president is the commander-in-chief of all US forces, of all US military. Guantanamo is a military base, and he can easily pass an executive order to have the place closed as the commander-in-chief of US forces. The fact that that hasn't happened shows that there's still a political cowardice that has stopped this from happening.